Renee, I think, shares your concerns and my concerns about the grim prospect of mandatory vaccines. What are your feelings, Scott?
Absolutely. It's a done deal. It's an absolute done deal. And it will also be rolled out around the world. So it won't just be us, it'll be everybody. We got it, as the lady caller quite rightly said, just before the news, in the first hour, Kevin, before the lady was upset, the disabled lady, she stated quite clearly, quite correctly, it's all about social digital credit system. You've got to have the vaccine to get the Vax Pass. You have to have the Vax Pass to be put on the social credit system. I really don't understand what people don't understand about that. Some of us have realised that 20 months ago, and we knew that. We've known that for 20 months, and all that's happening is we're being proved correct 20 months down the line. But the point that I did want to make, and this is a serious point, and I'm 100% serious about this. If this country, and I think it will, I actually think it will. That's why I've made a decision in my own mind. That mandatory vaccines will come in, and who knows what the punishments will be for not having them. But I can categorically state, and I've made the decision, that I will take my own life before I have that vaccine, or a mandatory vaccine is put into my body.
Oh, Scott.
Absolutely, unequivocally.
Well, I understand your emotions, but I'm going to ask you not to do that, Scott. Renee, let's talk about mandatory vaccines, because, Scott, in my view, is quite rightly extremely concerned about what would be a very sinister development in this country. They're already coming to play in Austria. Germany's going to do the same. Ursula von der Leyen, the EU Commissioner, says the 28 countries of the European Union have got to think about it, got to have a conversation about it. Now Boris says we've got to have a conversation about it. What does the medical fraternity feel about mandatory vaccines, Renee?
So this is really mixed, and I've had arguments with doctors because some of them feel that we need to do it and some of them don't. All of the Royal Colleges, and I think this is important, do not support mandatory vaccines, but they're not really shouting about that. But they don't. The BMA, the RCGP, the Royal College of Surgeons do not support mandatory vaccines, and I think that's important. And actually, it's about time they stepped up to the plate and wrote some letters to the government saying that, rather than just, every now and again saying it. I am completely 100% against mandatory vaccines for many reasons. But firstly, I think it completely goes against every medical ethic that I've ever been trained to, which is that you don't do anything or give anything to anyone as a doctor without getting their informed consent. So it doesn't matter how much information you've given to them. If they say no and you make them, that is not informed consent. So I think there will be legal cases here. I don't think it's legal. And I think there's a lot of people who feel like you, Scott, more than you would imagine. And I think as more and more boosters are rolled out, because it's not going to stop at a third booster. Israel are on their fourth booster. I think less and less people will consider that a sensible thing to do. I don't think the government or anyone around the world is giving us any scientific evidence as to how a mandated vaccine works. It doesn't stop transmission. It doesn't stop infection. It isn't as good as natural immunity. So why the hell would you force people to have it unless there was another reason?
Yeah, I mean, also stay on the line, Scott. Let's all chat about this. Renee, why would this government? Boris has said it now that they're not ruling it out. Oliver Dowden, the Tory chairman, said he's not ruling it out. So it's definitely on the table. Now we've got 83% of the people in this country have already had one jab, at least one jab. Got 93%, I think, have may have had two jabs and a booster. So you've got a huge number of people have been vaccinated. So why the strong arm tactics to get more people vaccinated?
Well, I mean, it's just an obsession now. And I think when you look at the fact that only people I'm seeing in GP now who are getting COVID are those who have either been vaccinated, and I mean with up to three injections, or those who have never been vaccinated. I'm not seeing anyone who's previously had COVID. The risk is tiny, like 1%. So you have to say to yourself, well, hang on a minute. All these people that have queued up diligently and had their vaccines, you know, you and I are amongst them, are still getting COVID. So we now have to say, as Scott just has, well, is there another reason? And I think, you know, I have to be inclined to agree that there probably is.
Yeah, I've got my wires slightly crossed there. It's the
other way around.
93% have had at least one jab, 83% have had two jabs, and now we've got quite a considerable percentage of the population have had their third one as well. I mean, how much more vaccination do they want? I don't get it.
I don't get it either, but the thing that concerns me most about mandatory vaccines is that if there is any tiny risk of dying, and there is, Lisa Shaw died because of her vaccine. You know, Dr. Wright, who had 2 small children, died because of his vaccine. There are a whole list of people who have died in this country. It may be minuscule in the number of vaccines that we've given out, but it's not minuscule to those families. So if there's any risk of someone dying, how can you make them take that risk?
Yeah, you should only have, obviously, because of what you've just been talking about, the optimum number of vaccinations. There's no need to go beyond that, because with all vaccinations there is a very slight risk. So if 2 is enough, why the third one? Let's give the government the benefit of the doubt, say 3 is enough, but
where does it stop?
Where does it stop? And with each vaccination, no matter how minuscule, you're taking a risk that it may be you don't need to be taking. You know, so we've got to be careful.
And we know with the Pfizer and Moderna, the risk of heart inflammation increases at the second dose.
Indeed.